Hi everyone, Jordan DeCary here with At the Apex, a new podcast series looking to spotlight regional racing at Shannonville. Today's guests, we have Dave Grummett from RACE Moto.ca. RACE Moto.ca was acquired from Super Series at the end of November. We sit down today and discuss that acquisition and all things racing at Shannonville for 2025. Welcome, Dave Grummett of RACE Moto.ca.
This
This
is my
wasn't
1990 vintage, my own artistry.
It wasn't
This
planned either. We just both showed up to the meeting like this.
our mom dressed us.
Inauguration day here for at the Apex. We're trying to spotlight all things racing and all things Shannonville. So we'll open it up to you, Dave. The acquisition was made from Super Series to what is now RaceMoto.ca. So give us some background of how that took place and your team as well.
Yeah, sure. So I was going to say, first of all, at the apex, is this the first time you've actually hit an apex, or is that sort of
Yeah, I mean, every picture I think I have, I'm, 10, 15 feet from the apex. So yeah, this would be a first.
cool? Cool. So sarcasm aside, yeah. So with we've become good friends with the Bondars over the years. Um, I guess they approached us a year and a half, 2 years ago about taking over the Super Series. They sort of want to concentrate on the facility and rentals and don't really want to run events. They, they saw how it worked when, CSBK or VRRA came in, rented the track for the weekend, and they could sort of, just concentrate on, yeah, track services. Didn't have to go through all the other stuff. So Jill and Dominique are good friends. We actually went to visit them in Florida almost a year ago to the date. And, part of the visit was working on the rule book, and part of the visit was them trying to get us to take over the Super Series. And, basically, it really came down to dollars and cents. Jill and I had a motorcycle dealership for over 20 years. The last few years are really, really painful. Pretty much didn't sink us, but we were treading water for a long time. We just didn't want to get into that situation again, like with our age and stuff, that we just can't go afford to go backwards. We can sort of, we're not looking to get rich. That's, the old saying about that is if you want to make 1 million in the motorcycle industry, start with 2 million. But we did, have no intentions of you know, um, getting rich off this, but it would be nice if we had, as we age out, a little bit of retirement income, if there was a little bit to be had. Um, we hesitated for a long time because basically with the Super Series, it really wasn't making any money. It was breaking even at best. And our daughter Allison joined the team last year doing registration. We watched all the numbers come in and go out. And I I guess my daughter and my wife were more into it than I was, just because being hesitant again business wise. But we did the math, and we think we can run a sustainable series with about a 10% growth. Um, we have some ideas to create that growth. I think that just by motorcycle people running motorcycle events will be better received among the racers. That'll help a little bit. We're at about 40% of our goal for licenses, somewhere around there, and about 25% of that are people new to Shannonville or haven't been to Shannonville for a number of years. So we're really, really enthused about that.
And would you say now, are you seeing more? You're saying 25% that you haven't seen before or that are, returning. Are you seeing more of that coming from the Quebec side now?
No, it actually hasn't been the Quebec side. Um, it's all over. but we are going to the Montreal Motorcycle Show. Part of the reason is, back in my day, and the Quebec uh, racer was, probably close to 50% of the field. And that was at a time when there were racetracks in Quebec. And now there's not really any racetrack. I think Montmagny has a small racetrack east of Quebec City, but we see a big potential to bring the Quebec Racer back. And so, yeah, that's definitely part of the growth. The other part of the growth is there's certain expenses with running races that can't be avoided. And Joe was quick to point out that this is the first time in the history of motorcycle racing at Shannonville that the regional series isn't owned by the track.
Wow, that's very
So,
interesting.
so we have a contract with the track with Shannonville. Um, we have certain obligations. They have certain obligations, but our finances are completely separate. We 100% own it between myself, Jill, and Allison, and we'll we'll rise with the tide and sink with the tide. So, but yeah, we have to keep it sustainable. We need a little bit of growth. So, one of the ideas, for me, and I sort of give the analogy that a gambler in Vegas. And a gambler in Vegas doesn't tell you how much he spent to get there, how much he spent at the tables. He only tells you how much he won. So if I can do it, we've committed to half the prize registration money back for Sprint Cup. Again, it's not going to be huge, but it could be a couple $100 for the winner. Louis Rafa and Annie Rafa have come on and provided sponsorship for Race Moto. And of that sponsorship, I won't say the majority, but a good portion of it, we want to give back to the racer. So, we've come up with a podium prize money giveaway. And our goal is, Jill says that as you're stepping onto the podium, she's emailing you the money, kind of thing. So, ideally, I have a contact at one of the gas stations on the, in Shannonville. But if I'm able to achieve my goals, a winner in any class, amateur, pro, novice, will walk away with something. It might be, $100, Pirelli, Dunlop, Michelin tire coupon, $20 gas card at the down at Shannonville, gift card for one of the local motorcycle shops, 12-pack of beer from the local craft brewer. Where we're still deciding whether there's any pot involved. We think that's probably a no-go, but something like that where you come away from the weekend and the most thing I want racers to feel is we've been there, we've done that, we really appreciate your business, and we'd like to give something back, and we think that'll help grow the series as well.
That's fantastic, and I like that you you mentioned your contributors there, so Luann and Louis and Annie, and also the Sprint Cup. I mean, prize money dependent on how many entries there are, right? So if we have a field of 15 riders, there's a decent sized payout for up to fifth place, right? I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive, and that's I know one of the classes that you had wanted to focus on is, you mentioned the Sprint Cup. So that's super exciting to see that come to fruition, and we just need to see those entries. Kind of brings us to the classes. So I noticed there was some the classes are posted on RACE website. So if anybody wants to have a look, they can go in there and see what class they're eligible for based on their bike. Any changes specifically? I had a quick look through there, Obviously, the points of question are going to be around the GSXR 750 and the Ducati Panigale V2. So, any changes from last year to this year as far as those two bikes are concerned?
Mhm. Well, let me just take a little bit of a step back, and as it currently stands, there's there's just a naming change. So I was really didn't like lightweight sport bike or super bike, whatever it was, and sportsman lightweight. There was too much confusion. And every time I looked at the rule book to try and develop the classes, I've always tried to give people two options. One they're really competitive with, and the second one that they can be, competitive in. So, when we got rid of the name sportsman lightweight and we just called it middleweight, and we got rid of lightweight super bike or sport bike, whatever it was, and we're just calling it lightweight, and then we're calling middleweight, and then we created sort of heavyweight and in the and 600 sport bike. So when we look at 600 sport bike, especially on the pro level, we had a lot of people, racers, um, voicing their concern that we were going to let GSXR 750s and 955s and 890s, whatever, in and sort of not bastardize the class, but bring it to a different competition level. So, with CSBK, they have scales and they have a dyno. So they can regulate the bikes based on, weight and horsepower. We don't have either of those. So I just thought the easiest way to keep it fair was to keep the 600 class essentially the 600s. So 600, 636, 675s, and anything else we bump to heavyweight, being the GSXR 750s, 890s, 955s. And I thought that was the way to keep it the fairest. So if you got a 600, your first class is 600 sport bike. If you've got a 850 or 955 GSXR 750, your first class would be um, heavyweight. And then the 600s, again, their second class would be um, heavyweight. And if you're on a GSXR 750, your second class would be super bike or sprint cup, either way. And so I just, I wrestled with it a lot. And even right now, I'm still wrestling with the amateur part because Ducati's come out with a new 955 that's actually an 890, and it has comparable horsepower to a 600. So how do I address that? The other concern I have is that right now, because of the numbers, heavyweight is a pro-am, and I sort of I'm still wrestling with it a little bit anyway. That should I allow the new Ducati 955 in amateur 600?
Hmm.
So I don't know. I'm open to suggestion. That's the one thing that we hope to bring to the series is an openness. Now we don't want to be wishy-washy and yeah, you're okay this weekend. No, you're not. Kind of stuff. Whatever we do, will stick. But you know, there's that concerns. Otherwise, everything else is the same. And with if you're amateur superbike or pro superbike, your second class is sprint cup. If you're lightweight, your first class is lightweight. Your second class would be middleweight. Middleweight adds on R7s, RS660s, GSX8Ss or Rs, whatever the Suzuki's. Um, you know, and then they bump up to 600 for the second class. So everybody should have a competitive class, and everybody should have a class that they can bump to. That it's Shannonville. It's not Mosport.
No, for sure.
So a good rider can make the difference over horsepower.
For sure. Well, and you still have time. I mean, these are I didn't see that the official rule book was released as of yet. So it looks like we still have some time to go
Yeah,
through that.
yeah, we've been working on it. You know, we're all still Allison, Jill, and I employed otherwise, so we have to work at night on different stuff. The old rule book had a lot of stuff in it that I think might have diluted it a little bit and made it hard to get to the meat of the rules, you know? Um, so we're just reorganizing it, reprioritizing stuff, getting rid of some stuff that we don't um, feel is necessary, rewriting some stuff like CSBK has a good rule about something about crash and carry on or something like that. It's a good rule. Like, I don't know. I hope Ross doesn't mind if I plagiarize it a little bit. And then, you know, the other problem we've had rule book wise is the interpretation of red flags and not the process itself, but if it's called, how people are scored, and um, if it carries on, if it's restarted, how do people restart? Where do they fit in if they've been the ones that have crashed and stuff like that? So MotoGP has a really good explanation of how to do that. So I'm not plagiarizing it, but you know my other daughter that nobody knows, Megan, as a high school English teacher, she might argue that I'm plagiarizing. So
If
um,
you use AI and get it to summarize in its own terms, is that still plagiarizing?
yeah, yeah, I don't know. So, you know, there's stuff like that that's just holding up the rule book a little bit. You know, other things that have caused a lot of drama, you know, the size of numbers, you know, that kind of thing. Um, I'm all over the safety part of it. I think we had it, you had to have 7-inch numbers. I've cut it back to 6. I forget what the side numbers were. I've cut it back a little bit. The main thing is the marshals can, if you go down, the marshals can radio in number 20, pro number 25. And you're a perfect example of good numbers. So I know you don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I try to play by the rules the best I can. I want everybody to see the number 25.
There you go.
Um,
And I really don't understand why people are hesitant to show off their numbers.
I want everybody to see that,
Yeah,
even if I'm last place crossing the finish line.
yeah, I doubt that. But yeah, I don't understand it, and it goes right to MotoGP. It goes right up the chain, and so I don't understand. But anyway, there's a safety element, and when we do stuff, it'll always be safety number one, fun number two, in our priorities.
Absolutely, and that's the way it should be. Now, I know we got a little bit in depth on the technical side, but let's kind of go back to you mentioned some of the first time people coming to Shannonville. So what can they expect, or they're returning after a few years off? What can they expect from um, you know a race weekend perspective? Because I believe I noted there were some changes as far as even the end of weekend trophy celebration. So no longer Saturday, Sunday. Can you kind of touch on what to expect coming in, how the weekends are kind of rolled out? I think would be
Yep,
helpful.
yep. So basically the same format. Just want to go back one step and say that if you've been out of racing for 5 years or more, you have to do a race school, just so you know you can get back up to speed with not only we know you're safe on the track, but get back up to our process.
And sorry, Dave, what's the race school? What is that? And that's something that you offer?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you were what, class of 2020 or 21?
I think it was 21.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was the
So
short season.
yeah, they're 20 and 21 were short season. So the race school is something that we put on, is something that we require. Again, if you're new to it, if you're coming from motocross, whatever, you have to take an approved race school. So yeah, so you have to do an approved race school. It's a 1 day um, class. It's priced so it's well priced. It includes your what would essentially be a practice day, and it includes your race license. So it's actually a pretty good deal. Just and it's designed to get people involved. And one of our goals is, well, I'll take a step back. I started teaching the race school in 1986. I'm that old. In 1986, there was no such thing as track days. I know probably new riders find that hard to believe, but it wasn't done. So when you took race school, a lot of people took it just so they could get on a track. It was the only way to get on a track. And when you taught, the people were pretty raw. They were newbies for sure. I went on to teach fast for 19 years. Obviously, Dan, Michelle, and Odette, they retired me before I got my 20-year pin. But that's another story. I'm not holding a grudge at all. Um, the Again, with fast, you had people coming out that were never been on a track, didn't know an apex from a hole in the ground. And now that people are coming into the race school, they're good. They're probably the fastest of the track day people, and they really can haul the mail. So there's less to teach them about going fast on a track, more to teach them about race strategy, um, and how the weekend works. The other thing we've noticed is that when all these people are coming to racing from doing track days, and when they say, fast group, red group, you're up, and you come out of the pits, you short shift, stay to the left of the blend line, and off you go. Your ability to use the clutch is like zero kind of stuff. So we're seeing people come out that just can't start. Like, unlike you, that I think you had a drag racing background or something, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw you dressed up as a woman on a motorcycle, that kind of drag racing.
Not that drag
No, no.
racing.
Oh, okay.
Nope. Quarter mile drag racing.
Yes, yes. So, what the skills that you have aren't common. And we've had people loop our threes. Like, that's a pretty good, sign that there's a problem. Just and then stall off the line, and the incidents we've had that scare make my heart go off. And I stand there with the red flag, and as I run off the track, I'm holding the red flag with crossed fingers. And not that I'm superstitious at all, but so part of the race school is we've really accentuated doing starts, initially individual, one at a time, and then as a group. So we think that's really important, and we brought that into our Friday practice. And we can't really do it on Saturday or Sunday because it's so compressed. But back to the schedule. One of the other things we've done this year, back when I used to race, I raced a lot with Tony Sharpless, and I really admire what Tony's doing to try and bring up the next gen of road racers and bring it, getting the kids involved from a young age. My 7-year-old grandson's done her course. So, we really, really want to support that. And we've agreed with Tony to incorporate 2 of her classes in our weekend schedule. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think we're going to run at least one of the FIM qualifiers at one of our events. So, we'd like to, if we don't give back and develop the next, group, nobody will, I was fortunate to go to England and race in the Yamaha World Cup. How do we get Canadians back to the level where, at one point in it was AMA, now Moto America, we had 3 Canadians on the box at a AMA Superbike race. So Duhamel, Picot, and Crevier on the top of the box. How do we get them back to that thing? So anyway, that's why I want to support Tony. That's why I want to work her into the program. We've had other people ask, we need more practice. So we'll take that into account. Longer practices, maybe shorter qualifiers.
So
My
the weekends, Dave, they're double headers, right?
exactly.
Saturday, Sunday mirrored image. So you do. Can you break down just what the race day looks like?
Sure. Probably mirror images of each other, and I'll clarify in a second. But yeah, you come in, you practice, you qualify, and you race. And when we made that decision back in 2020, the people pay to race. That's the difference between a track day and a race day. So let's let them race. So that's why we went to the double header format. So that's Friday's practice, all day practice. Generally, depending on the number of riders, 3 groups, 4 groups, kind of thing, to just want to keep all the speeds as close together as we can. And then Saturday morning, registration, tech inspection, practice, qualifying, racing in the afternoon. And same thing Sunday. Now, where there's a difference from previous years, we used to do a trophy presentation on Saturday and then a trophy presentation on Sunday. So, um, what if I get sponsors to come in, I can sell them 5 sponsorships, 5 weekends, easier than 10. So that's basically why
Got it.
we're combining the scoring to do, you finish, and we'll have, tiebreakers and all that kind of stuff. But you finish first on Saturday and second on Sunday, and somebody finishes first on or second on Saturday, first on Sunday. Points are the same. How are we going to, decide who the winner is? So that's still to be a work in progress. But that's why we did it. Just again, I can sell somebody to give money away or whatever 5 times. It's twice as hard to get them to do it 10 times. The other thing we've talked about and we're not sure yet, and I'd love feedback on it, is a sprint race format on Saturday and a longer race on Sunday. So people ask, they want more practice. That's where we can get some time. And we do say if a normal race is 10 laps, and we are going laps, we're not doing timing, we're going laps. So say a normal race is 10 laps. So Saturday race would be 8 laps, Sunday race would be 12 laps.
Gotcha.
Don't know. I'd love to have some feedback on whether people would like that or not.
So let's canvas the crowd here. Everybody that's watching, put that in the comments. We're gonna share this, Facebook. It's gonna be on YouTube, so you can reach out to Dave also directly through Facebook, all your socials, and on the Race Moto website. Right?
Yeah,
Send you
David
an
at
email.
Race Moto, David at RaceMoto.ca.
Perfect.
But yeah, so we're open, and it would it be a benefit? One of the top pro racers asked me, we need more practice. And I said to him, I said, the problem I have with practice is if we have a 15-minute practice, I said, you'll notice that everybody's bike is set up 100% perfect.
Hmm.
Because if we give them a 15-minute practice, they go round and round for 15 minutes and they come off. I never see anybody come into the pits. I need a couple clicks here. I need this. I need that. No, they're perfect. And I'd really like to work on that as well. And in the past, I love the structure of the car stuff. The horn goes at 5 minutes. It's bam, bam, bam. Um, we have a couple extra classes with Tony coming in. We're trying to give everybody maximum track time, and we might be like those pushers in a Japanese subway, like go, go, let's go. Like we're not going to have the track sitting empty. You know, I don't care if it was said 10:15, the track's empty, you're going, kind of thing. And we've also been talking to Pit Anywhere, so we're hoping to incorporate Pit Anywhere to our program, and that's a digital who's up, who's on deck kind of thing, and hopefully everybody like we're working on to have start lights instead of flags. So
Okay.
that's just something else that we've heard everybody say, and we just we're listening.
Okay. I like those ideas. I do have one question for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you recognize this. I have to get it on the
Yes.
background. Okay.
I was hoping you'd go there. That is a very valuable trophy.
Is this something that we will see continue on Race Moto? Can you?
Okay, so I can say Jordan DeCary has the honor of having the only award for the best fork extension, um, being an attempted wheelie that, well, And he proved me wrong that he can actually wheelie really, really well. So I'm glad you brought it up because I was at the last show, asked Colin Fraser, what do you think about wheelies? Because, if you go back to, I'm going to say it was probably early 90s, and there was a racer, I know his name, but I won't repeat it, wheelied over backwards, doing a celebration on the front straight, and uh, died from his injuries. And that sort of was the end of why people crack down on people doing wheelies. I personally like to do them. Um, I think they're really good entertainment. And when I asked Colin, what do you think? And he said, I'm okay with people doing it if they're on their own. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
not every lap, but if you're coming across and it's a checker flag lap and you want to do a wheelie, I think it's tremendous entertainment. I really, really do. If you've never done one before, like go practice somewhere else. You know what I mean? But if you're good at it and you're alone, go for it. I don't really want to see people catwalk in the back straight. That's no entertainment value. That's you're just amusing yourself. You know what I mean? But back in my day, it was just done. That's what people did. Like I remember going to Grattan, and the first time I rode a TZ 250, and coming out of the after there's a big long first corner and up a hill, and I could wheelie it crossed up, leaned over, cross up, and in my head I'm going, I'm fucking Kevin Schwantz, but I love it, and I love the entertainment value. But I'll go back to what I said earlier: first priority safety, second is having fun, and third is entertainment. Maybe
I love it.
kind of stuff. So
I love it. 30 seconds. Give us the rundown, registering, how we can go about doing that and learning more information, and we'll close it out with that.
RaceMoto.ca registrations there. We've got just race license up. First practice day, which is incorporated into the race school, up. We'll be adding things. The one thing, you're sort of, we know how to run the weekend. How do we get the WordPress site to interact with the Gravity form, to interact with PayPal or Moneris or Stripe or whatever? That's something that's new to us. I have a friend that's been helping us out with that, and it's a work in progress. But we've got other stuff that I won't. That we're working on right now to see if there's tax benefits for people that are self-employed, kind of thing, to come in as a sponsor, but just to help racers out.
So that's awesome that the team is looking for ways to obviously grow the series. That's everybody's goal here, but to also give back to the series as best as possible. So I'm really excited. I think everybody else is really excited. There was a great foundation and groundwork, put in by the Bondars to kind of resurrect the series. And obviously everybody's hoping that it'll continue on with Jill, yourself, and your daughter Allison. So
yeah, and the rest of the team is, we've got Wayne Walsh back as race director. Wayne's an awesome guy. He worked the last race, ex-military, very organized, very fair. Angela at pre-grid should be there for most events when she's not conflicting with a car event, stuff like that. So you'll recognize all the same faces in the process.
I think we're getting close to out of time. So thank you very much, Dave, from RaceMoto.ca. And I'm thinking we'll check back as it gets closer to that time where we're firing up our bikes for the first time in the spring here.
Yeah, awesome.
I want to thank David from RaceMoto.ca for being a part of our very first episode here at the Apex. If you're looking for more information on regional racing at Shannonville, visit RaceMoto.ca. You can also find them on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Just search Race Moto. You can also email David at racemoto.ca if you have any questions you'd like to ask of them. And stay tuned to their website. They are continuously updating that with more information. If there's anybody else you'd like to see on the At the Apex podcast, drop that in the comment, shoot me a message and let me know, and we will try and make that happen. Thanks so much for joining. Bye.